Hi, this is Mike from GSB. Today we need to talk about telling outcome stories. Basically, how do we communicate with those who know our story and maybe even those who don't? We talk about outcome stories. Some people will call these impact stories, but it's a different way of communication than simply sharing information. When the only story we tell is information, it's only being heard by and digested by the people who are already interested in hearing what it is that we have to offer. We only reach people who are looking for what we want to share. That's not even our whole community typically. What motivates people to deeper engagement is inspiration and outcome. Our donors want to know that the work we're doing is having an impact on people. New people who may be interested in our ministries and in our work, they want to know that we're having an impact and they can relate to the impact that we have on others and relate that to their own lives to want to be more engaged with what it is we offer. Here's a typical communication from a church about Lenten worship services. It says something like, Lenten services, this year we're going to do Holden evening prayer on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock, and we'll start that with a soup supper that begins at 6. I've even heard before people say, and the soup is excellent. Well, that's information that is designed to be read and digested by somebody who is looking for that information, who is already familiar with what we do. Here's an outcome-based message on the same topic. I was 10 days into a shelter-in-place order because of the coronavirus when our musician Tim sent out Holden evening prayer digitally for us to listen to. I didn't realize how exhausted I was until I listened to Holden evening prayer 3 times that afternoon. I realized I was tired and I needed to give everything back to God. I missed the rhythm of that journey to the cross. In good times, sometimes Lent felt like just one more thing to add to my schedule. But when life happens and gets interrupted, that is when I needed Lent more than ever. This year our services are at 7. We'll feed you soup beforehand so that you don't even have to worry about cooking dinner. That's a model of how the same message can be an outcome story, where more people can relate to it, where more people can understand that by offering our Lenten worship services, a difference is being made in lives. Another exciting information example is this. We offered digital worship for the first time this past Sunday because of COVID-19. 600 people viewed our worship and our normal worship attendance is only 125. It took us 4 hours to put together, but we're glad you all could join. We'll offer it again next week. Now you might say to me, well, that is informational, but it's exciting information. And that's true. But there's a deeper outcome that is happening from our digital worship experience. And honestly, with every ministry we do, and we need to peel down to that deeper impact. So here's how that same message could be done. Last week we offered digital worship for the first time ever. We had over 600 people attend. Our average worship went up. But here's what the first person who responded with a comment said to us about that experience. They said, I'm not a member of your church or any church here in town, but I needed God, and I found God as I found your worship service. You better believe I'll be engaging it again next week. Thank you for offering it. Or this, in these uncertain times and the uncertainty that we have and we're on a home quarantine, I need my church community more than ever, even though we can't gather in person. Being able to worship together, even from home, gave me the feeling of that connection and a sense of peace in my life and a sense of journeying with God even in these days. The outcome is there. We need to tell it. For an effective outcome story, we need to use real quotes from real people. Let people tell the story. We need to get at why the impact matters, not just the impact itself. And the best outcome stories are those that are told as a story, that tell what the deep human need is in our world and how it is that the ministry and the mission that we are about is meeting that human need. When we tell a story, we bring people into it. People help to feel what the receiver of the outcome is feeling before and during and after the experience. As we tell these stories, even though I will tell you it's a little bit harder to get to these stories because it's not our natural tendency to think in these terms. But as we get to them, in the midst of the busyness in our lives, in the midst of the chaos of the world around us, we're able to see that the busyness of our ministry, the busyness of our work, it's making a difference. And it's that difference that our donors want to invest in. It's that difference that the people who are part of our community will be inspired to want to grow deeper into our community. And it's that difference that people who aren't familiar with our community will seek to join and become part of what it is that we're offering. People really don't care about just the information that we share. People care about the difference that we make in people's lives. And we need to learn how to cultivate those stories and share them with each other. A couple ways I like to do that. I like to start a council or a board meeting out with telling of outcome stories. Where have we seen God active and alive in our community in the last week, the last month, and tell the story of that impact. And then I invite those same council or leadership team members to call members of the church or organization and share that story. It helps teach us to know that we have a story to share, and it gives us practice then in telling that story. I think it's important that as we push out messages in our newsletters, start with these outcome stories. It will be these stories that draw your reader in more deeply. Push out direct mail pieces that include these different stories so that people can be refreshed and reminded, because these stories tell them that in fact your mission is vital. You are making a difference in the world. And here is clear, tangible evidence of how that is. It will be inspiring for you to cultivate and to push them out. It will be inspiring for your people to read and experience those stories as they become even more closely tied to your mission. God bless you. And may you start to tell outcome stories in a way that refreshes you and refreshes your community.